Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Kyle Scott from Thinkific, General Manager, High Growth Creators with them. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to see you, Ernesto.
It's great to have you on, and excited to learn a little bit more about what Thinkific is all about, and well, I'm sure our listeners as well. So let's kick it off with that, Kyle. In your own words, tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so Thinkific is the leading software platform that enables entrepreneurs to create, market, sell, and distribute their thought leadership, right? We have helped over 900,000 creators to date make over $2 billion and counting on our platform. And for me, we're all about the success of our creators. We're all about helping creators earn income on the platform, but also have great impact. Because thought leaders, people with something to say, the reason why they often have something to say is because they want to have impact. So the better our customers do on the platform, the more people that they can reach and impact, the better we do as well.
Definitely important. Okay, and so that way then our listeners could get a good understanding there of Thinkific. What would you say then is those key problems that you guys are looking to help your clients with?
Yeah, so we help creators turn their expertise into a sustainable, growing business. Some of our creators use this as their primary source of income. You can make a full-time living off of selling your ideas, selling your expertise, and impacting others. On the other side, we have creators who also use this to supplement their full-time income for passive income. That is one of the great benefits of online courses. Is the reality is everybody has something to say. Everybody has a unique genius. And for you, the way that you can monetize that, the way that you can ultimately impact more people, creating an online course, putting that investment up front once, and then monetizing that and selling it over time to impact more people.
Definitely important, and don't want to assume here, but would your vertical segment is your ideal ICPs creators, or is there another type of vertical that you guys like to go for as well?
Yeah, so we think of it as creator educators, but at the end of the day, everyone is a creator educator. Everybody has something to say, and you know the reality is, and I came from traditional media, right? I came from NBC News, which used to be, and companies like NBC News on the broadcast side and companies like the New York Times on the print side used to be the gatekeepers. They used to be the ones who can distribute your message to a global audience, and there used to be no other way to do it. The reality is today, thanks to this, our phone, all of us have a broadcast platform in our platform. All of us have the ability to impact others through our expertise. And we no longer need to share our expertise and our thoughts and our predictions through mass media, through those gatekeepers. So at the end of the day, I very much believe everybody has something to say. Everybody. And while our unique focus is on the creator economy, at the end of the day, we're all creators. We all have something to say. We're all posting on social all day, every day.
Yep, would agree with you on that. So say I'm a creator, Kyle. How would I usually find out about Thinkific? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
Yeah, so we use all the traditional channels, and you may be familiar with the idea that really marketing is broken up into 3 channels, right? Paid, owned, earned. For me, as the general manager of high growth creators, I very much believe in and am focused on building real relationships. And there are 2 ways to do that. Number 1 is through organic social, right? We have a saying where I used to work, sell it. People hate being sold, but they love shopping with friends. Your best ability to form a real, meaningful, lasting connection with your audience is to be where your audience is with their friend group. And where is that today? That is on social. That is posting consistently, constantly, every single day in a voice that sounds a lot more like a person than it does a brand, and a voice that sounds a lot more like a person than it does an institutional company. So that's number one, acquisition by building a following, by building connections online. And then number two is also showing up where your ideal customer is hanging out in the physical world. Sometimes that's community meetups. Sometimes that's conferences and events. Sometimes that is showing up in digital communities as well. But the idea is the more you can actually build relationships, the more likely it is that your customers will convert. And I was actually surprised when you did the intro, you said that 98% of website visitors don't convert. What that tells me is that you don't really have a website problem. You probably have a brand problem. Because what I believe is by the time your ideal customer gets to your website, you should have a better than 2% conversion rate. That if you only have a 2% conversion rate, you're probably not attracting the right web traffic. You're probably not pre-building those relationships such that by the time your ideal customer comes to your website, they're ready to convert. They already have a high know, like, and trust factor with you and your brand, and they're ready to say, yes, let's do it.
Definitely important, right? I mean, that's kind of an industry standard there, 2%. And like you mentioned, right, it's a brand with a lot of people. So definitely.
Yeah, it's an industry standard, yes. But what I would say is most of the industry isn't doing it right. We have to get off of the average, right? The average is average. The average is average. And what that means is to improve that. And I know that Pathmonk has great products and services in order to help do this on one side. But really to beat that average, right? Because remember, an average, people are come ahead and below, right? You have both sides. To beat that average, you have to be building relationships before your website visitors even make it to the website. And then use the website to push that even further.
Definitely would agree with you. So on that note, then, Kyle, is there any tools or tips that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yeah, I think I always go back to top of funnel. Like the website is a tool, and it's a critical tool, absolutely critical tool. But from my experience, we got most of our conversions from our email list. And I built, prior to coming to Thinkific, I built a $10 million sales training platform with Ryan Serhant, who's this celebrity real estate agent. And I pitched him the idea, and we launched it, and we grew it over 4 years to nearly 8 figures in revenue. What we found consistently in doing that was our email list was the highest conversion. It created the highest conversions. During our Black Friday sales, we had conversions off of our email list above 30%. Above 30%. Now, the way that we did that, and we were able to have successful launches and successful sales with such high conversion rates, is we spent a lot of time building a real relationship, a human relationship with our customers. We built a high know, like, and trust factor such that when it was ready to send out those emails, when we were ready to post on social, hey, we're having a sale, hey, we're having a launch, and they ultimately came to our website, the website wasn't doing all the heavy lifting. The brand and the relationship did the heavy lifting, and the website pushed that to the finish line. The website plays a really important role, but the website is just a tool if you haven't, prior to the website, built relationships with your potential customers.
Definitely some great insight there for our listeners. Thank you so much for sharing that. And well, let's switch gears a little bit then, Kyle, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the general manager of high growth creators there for Thinkific. What are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Is it focused on helping our most successful customers achieve even more success? We are all about at Thinkific helping creators build online businesses and share their expertise, share what we call their unique genius with the world. So for me, a big part of my day is broken up into 3 parts. Number 1 is creating programs and creating initiatives to help our high growth creators achieve more success. Part of that is community, part of that is events, part of that is creating resources to help them do that. And part of it is creating relationships, between and among our high growth creators. Because the reality is, if you have someone who, let's say, is a crocheter and someone who is a knitter, similar audiences, but they don't actually compete with each other. There's plenty of people who want to learn more about sewing, knitting, crocheting to go around. Plenty of it. So if we, through our community, build those connections between the person who's crushing it at teaching sewing and the person who's crushing it at teaching knitting, if we can foster that relationship and create the ability for them to cross-post on each other's platforms, to cross-sell through each other's email lists, not only are they benefiting each other, but they're also helping their audiences achieve what they want to do. So that's number one, is helping our creators achieve more success. Number two is helping creators out there diversify their revenue through online thought leadership products. There are 50 million creators. There are 50 million in the world today. 50 million. So many creators. And so many of them don't yet have thought leadership businesses. Look, the name of the game now in 2024 is diversification of revenue for creators. Diversification of revenue. So how do you do that when you can no longer rely on only brand sponsorships, only advertising revenue? Because as we sort of saw post-pandemic, a lot of those have come down 2023 into 2024. There are other revenue streams that you have to build to actually build a sustainable business. One of them is digital products and online courses. So part of my job is also to attract more customers and help them realize the amazing power of online courses and to help them diversify their revenue. Again, helping them achieve success. And then finally, thought leadership and creating customer evangelists and creating a name for ourselves in this industry. So that way, when you think online courses and digital products, you think Thinkific.
All right, interesting. Like it sounds like you have a full plate there on your hands on a daily basis. But in your between times, then Kyle, how do you like to stay up to date with all the news in the marketing world as far as trends, strategies? Is there a preferred channel that you like to go with?
Yeah, so I love the Wall Street Journal. I'm a big Wall Street Journal listener. I subscribe to the app on my phone. It's only $2 a month. It's crazy. What a deal for some of the world's best journalism. And then I read the Morning Brew in the morning. I follow The Information, which has an excellent creator vertical and creator news reporting. It's called The Information. And then also I follow, read Instagram. Instagram is a great source for news. Great source. And following the trends. You can often see what's going on in the creator economy, not necessarily through the news reporting, but just watching what other people are doing. What are the trend makers doing? Understanding that, and then part of my job is then translating that to our audience at Thinkific, especially our high growth creators, to help them see, hey, here's where sort of the industry is going. Hey, here's some trends. Hey, have you tried this thing that I saw this creator over here doing? Have you tried this new technique? And then helping them achieve more success by staying on top of it.
Definitely. All right. Love that. Love that input there from you, Kyle. Let's jump into our next section then here, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
Let's do it.
All right. First off then, Kyle, what is the last book that you read?
Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. This is a book that I have been reading basically every 3 years or so. And I just reread it when switching from Sell It to my new role at Thinkific.
All right. Sounds like, all right, great book there for our listeners. Next up then, what is one single thing that the company is focused on at the moment the most?
We are always focused on helping our customers achieve more success. And we do that in a variety of ways. We're constantly releasing new features on the platform to make it even easier to market, sell, create, and distribute your online courses. We're constantly expanding into new areas where customers can achieve success. One of which that's done really well recently is T-commerce. It is our performance checkout page that helps our creators sell more by giving them features such as order bumps, giving them the ability to send out follow-up and cart abandonment emails, giving them the ability to ultimately sell more from a higher performing checkout page. And then also, this very niche area, and this is very tactical, practical, but the laws around online commerce and especially taxes are changing. I don't want to get into taxes here, but we have a great tax solution that ultimately helps our creators sell. So they don't need to even worry about on their checkout page, do I need to collect sales tax? For what do I need to collect sales tax? Like, it's crazy. Every jurisdiction, every state in the US, every country does it differently. So we take all of that off your plate with e-commerce, and we ultimately let you focus on what you do best, which is being a thought leader, which is sharing your unique genius with the world. You shouldn't have to worry about things like checkout pages. You shouldn't have to worry about things like, how do I collect tax? Like, you do you. Let us as the platform help you with all the business stuff.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. Great to hear that from Thinkific. Next up then is, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Attribution. I think I could almost guarantee every single marketer says attribution. The reality is, if you had perfect attribution, you would get perfect results every single time. You would know exactly where to spend your marketing dollars, exactly where to put your effort, exactly what type of content to create. Everything with perfect data, you would get perfect results. However, there is no perfect way to do attribution. You can't say someone saw this Instagram post and then they saw this LinkedIn article and then they came to our website and then they went back and they saw a paid ad and then their friend said something and then they showed up to an event and they met someone and then they finally decided to convert. You have no idea. So it's hard. It's really hard. There was a famous, marketer. There was a famous marketer, John Wanamaker, who once said, I could tell you that 50% of my marketing works. I just can't tell you what 50%. It's true. It's even true today. You have better attribution with social and with, out of Google Analytics and all that, but it's not perfect. You still don't really know.
Definitely. I would agree with you. And like you mentioned, a lot of marketers would agree with you on that. So then maybe relevant kind of the same way into it, but if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Perfect contact tracking, perfect relationship tracking. Because here's the thing. And I'll use the example of you and me, Ernesto. We just had a fantastic conversation. I hope that we get to have more conversations down the road. I hope that I get to learn more about Pathmonk. You get to learn more about Thinkific. I hope that we can exchange leads with each other. I hope that we can help our customers achieve more success with each of our products, right? But the reality is, there are new relationships that all of us build every single day. It's extremely difficult and extremely time consuming to remember every single one of them. It's hard. There is actually a study that showed we can only hold about 150 close relationships at any time. It's called Dubner's number. You can look it up. And because of that, we've developed things like CRMs to manage customer relationships. HubSpot is fantastic. Salesforce is fantastic. There's something called Clay. Right? There's probably Zoho. There's probably hundreds of CRMs. Close.com. Close.com I think is what it is. But none of that still all requires data input. It still all requires you sitting there at the keyboard to remind yourself of what you talked about. Yes, there are AI tools that can record conversations and put up summaries, but you still have to do something with that. Wouldn't it be great if there was something that could remind me a month from now, hey, Kyle, you're talking to a Thinkific customer who has a website need. Remember back last month when you talked to Ernesto at Pathmonk? You should read, this solution would be perfect for Ernesto at Pathmonk. And I didn't have to remember it. It's almost like the AI is just listening to every single conversation and is constantly plugging in, hey, this is great for Ernesto. Hey, this is great for Jim. Hey, this is great for Sally. That would solve so many of our marketing problems as well. Perfect attribution and perfect relationship management.
Definitely. I mean, what you mentioned, right? I think that's really interesting. Maybe probably that's what Elon Musk has in mind with his Neuralink at one point.
Yeah. Ernesto, I recently saw there was something almost like one of those like life alerts that you could press. I think it was something you could like wear around your neck and it could record every conversation. A little creepy.
Yeah.
There's some challenges with privacy with all of this, but sometimes you give to get, right? You give up a little bit of privacy to get better relationships. And I think that's awesome.
Definitely. Awesome. Wait, well, Kyle, lastly here, I mean, you have the experience, no doubting that, but what would be that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
The number one thing to remember, especially for early career professionals, if you're just starting out as a marketer, the number one thing to remember is that what you're doing today will not be what you're doing 5 years from now. Your best bet is to focus on the work today. Be great today. Because if you are great today, you will earn that next step. If you're constantly thinking, what's my next career move as a marketer, you're going to miss out on the opportunities that are in front of you today. You're going to miss out on the ability to be great today because that's what earns you the next career move. The reality is if you take care of the work will take care of you every single time.
Some great advice there, not just for yourself, Kyle, but for our listeners. And well, I do want to thank you for being on with us today, Kyle. But before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. Say someone forgets everything about the interview today. What is that one thing they should remember about Thinkific?
The one thing to remember is that you are an expert in something. You may not realize it, but everyone has a unique genius inside of them. And the reality is that you can monetize that unique genius and you can help other people by creating an online course or digital product. I deeply believe everybody has a course in them. Everybody has something to say, and you would do the world a better, and you would be good for the world if you share it and share it on Thinkific.
Whether you guys heard it, check them out at thinkific.com. Share your knowledge, join the movement, get paid. Kyle, thank you so much for being on with us today. I do appreciate you, and to our listeners as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Kyle.
Thanks for having me, Ernesto. Great to chat.